Renegade Techworks 3000 GT ECS suspension controller, Model 03 new design demonstration. This is showing the runtime diagnostics that are available while the controller is in operation. I'm going to show you two diagnostic simulation faults. One is a motor command fault, the other one is a signal wire fault. First of all, to simulate while the controller is running, you'll notice that it's in all the struts are in soft mode, tour mode, and that's also indicated by the LEDs. All the diagnostics can be done just by using the tour and sport lights. You don't need the LEDs; they just make it easier. First thing I'm going to do is simulate that motor command failure on one of the struts by disconnecting one of the power wires to the front right strut. That's the motor power wire. So what's going to happen is when I say to go to the next state of the struts, in this case it would be medium, by pressing the ECS button once, it's able to get 3 of the struts into medium mode, as you can see on the LEDs, but it's still trying on the front right strut and finally goes red. Now, the tour and sport lights are solid together, indicating that the system in general is in medium mode for the 3 struts that are working, but every 30 seconds, since there's a failure now in the system, the tour and sport lights will blink in a very specific sequence. And in the case of a motor command failure on one of the struts, what will happen is while the system's in run mode, you'll see the tour and sport lights, like they just did, blink 3 times together. The key there is that when the tour and sport lights blink together 3 times, that's telling you that one of the struts in the systems has a motor command failure. That's the first failure mode. The second failure mode that the system can detect is what's called a signal wire failure. In this case, the strut, the 3 of the struts are in the correct mode. They're in medium mode. But watch what happens when I disconnect. I'm going to pick the front left strut this time. Actually, I'm going to pick one of the other struts, the right rear strut. I'm just going to disconnect the harness altogether to simulate a broken wire, and watch what happens to the the rear right strut when that happens. In the case of the LEDs, they went to yellow for that right rear indicator. That's the color indicator for a command wire, a signal wire failure. Also notice that the console just blinked the tour and sport lights alternately 3 times, and then blinked them together 3 times. So that's a clue that in this particular situation, that 2 struts are having a problem. One of the 4 struts has a command motor failure error, and then the second strut has a signal wire failure. So if the tour and sport lights blink together, that's telling you one of the struts has a motor command failure. If the tour and sport lights alternately blink, that's telling you that one of the struts has a command wire failure. Sorry, a signal wire failure. So that's great. You know that some of the struts are having a problem. How can you specifically tell which ones they are? Well, that's where you use the read diagnostic mode on the Techworks controller. To get into the read diagnostics mode, you press the ECS button 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's going to show and read the current error status of the struts that the system has detected while they've been in operation. Notice that the sport light is blinking 1 time and then blinks solid. That's telling you that it read this current state of strut 1 and that there was no problem. Now the sport light's blinking 2 times, telling you it's going to read the state of strut 2. 2 blinks. And there it's showing the solid blinks together, tour and sport blinking together. That's indicating that strut 2 has a motor command failure at some point while the system was running. Now it's blinking the sport light by itself 3 times, telling you it's reading the status of strut 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, strut 3. They come on together and are solid, indicates strut 3 has no problem. Now it's blinking the sport light 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm reading status of strut 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the sport and tour light are alternately blinking, indicating that the right rear strut had a signal wire failure at some point during operation. And then the read diagnostic sequence starts over. It's going to go back to read strut 1, Tour and Sport light solid. Strut 1 has no problem. Now it's reading strut 2. 2 blinks on Sport. 2 blinks. 2 blinks. This is the one that had the motor command failure. 2 blinks. And so the Tour and Sport light are blinking together, indicating strut 2, front right, had a motor command failure in the strut. Now it's reading strut 3. This one doesn't have a problem, so the Tour and Sport light should come on solid here after it finishes indicating which strut. 2, 3. Tour and Sport light solid. Strut 3, no problem. Now it's going to do strut 4 one last time. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is the one that had the signal wire failure. This should be the alternating Sport and Tour lights. And there you go. And it just continues to repeat the re-diagnostic routine. And again, re-diagnostic routine is not exercising the struts. It's only reporting any error conditions that have occurred while the car has been running. To actually actively test the struts, the way you do that is, first of all, I'm going to go back to manual mode. And to get out of the re-diagnostics mode, you just press the ECS button switch once. And you can see that it's taking the struts back to medium mode. Tour and Sport light are on. So we're in manual control mode, and we're telling everything to go to manual. And to run the diagnostics, instead of pressing the ECS button 5 times, you press it 6 times. And that will execute the run diagnostic mode. So I'm going to go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tour and Sport light will blink 6 times. And now it goes into the diagnostic sequence using the same pattern as before. Blink the Sport light the number of times for the strut being tested, and then it will test the struts and give you the results. In this case, it just detected a failure on that front left strut. It disconnected that wire there. It's testing the front right strut. This is the one that also had the motor command wire disconnected. That one's going to fail also. And it continues on in the testing sequence. So this one is an active test of the struts. The re-diagnostic routine is a passive test showing you only the errors that have occurred while the car has been running. This is the only strut that should pass. It's strut 3. It's able to go to hard, medium, and soft. The light's going to go green on the LED, and the Tour and Sport light will be solid. Right rear strut is still disconnected. It's 4 blinks on the Sport light to tell you it's testing strut 4. And this one should fail, and it's going to go red as well. To get out of the diagnostic mode, press the ECS button once. There's a Tour Sport light blinking together, indicating a command mode failure. And now it's back to manual mode. There you go. Diagnostic modes for the Techworks controller.